Throughout this video, my family and I are currently living in a 2-bedroom apartment because we're in the process of moving states. But for this presentation, I want to talk about lessons from history that we can carry on into our future. The topic I chose was learning from our mistakes, lessons from history for today's citizens. I cannot think of a better time to talk about this than now. As you all are aware, we are currently in a global pandemic. It's hard to think about, but the coronavirus outbreak will go down in history and definitely be talked about to the future generations. If we reach a time where the virus, quote unquote, goes away or starts to affect less people, all we can do is try to learn from our mistakes by being careful what we touch, always staying clean by washing our hands to decrease the chance of COVID-19 resurfacing in the future. So of course, COVID-19 is not the point of this presentation and not my main focus, but I do believe it goes with the topic of learning from our mistakes. History is not something that happens and just goes away. It's something that stays with us, as it should. It's important for us to know what people truly went through and what our country's history truly is. With that being said, it is also very important to educate oneself on the past. This is because it gives one a better understanding of where we are now. The whole point of the topic that I chose is to prevent some history from repeating itself, and we would not be able to do that if we were not educated on our past in the first place. We were asked to reference 3 different texts that we covered throughout the semester. The texts I'm choosing to talk about are The House on Mango Street, the TED Talk by Aaron Hugh, and the Constitution of the Iroquois Nations. The theoretical approach that I am choosing to include in this presentation is intersectionality. To give a brief description of intersectionality, it is how race, class, gender all affect someone's life. I want to use this theory because I want to talk about how the past discrimination towards innocent people still come into play today. So the first text that I'm going to talk about is the Constitution of the Iroquois Nations. Honestly, before this class, I did not know what this was or that it even existed. It's very strange to me that I did not know what this was because with further research, I learned that some ideas from the Iroquois nations transferred over to the Constitution that we all know about today. In some ways, this shaped the US democracy. With additional research that I found on the Native American blog website written by Terry Hansen, I learned that the original 13 colonies into one republic was influenced by the political system that was made by the Iroquois Confederacy. So many ideas from the Iroquois Constitution influenced the United States Constitution. In the introduction of the Iroquois Constitution, it states that they were guaranteed expression of religion and freedom, which was later embraced in the US Constitution. Younger people should absolutely be educated about this history and be informed on where our rights and freedom actually came from. And I can say, after reading this Constitution of the Iroquois Nations, I feel more informed about the history of our nation's freedom. Now I'm going to talk about the TED Talk by Aaron Hugh. In this TED Talk, Aaron Hugh focuses on the bad treatment towards the Native Americans. If I could describe this TED Talk in one word, it would be powerful. It was so intense to hear about what the Native Americans actually went through. In Aaron Hugh's words, they lost so we could gain. The pictures that were shown by the innocent slaughter of not only adults but children were undescribable. The United States is looked at to be so innocent, but what most Americans do not know is that we invaded innocent people's homes. We took what was not ours and we killed with no remorse. In 1863, the uprising of Santee Sioux in Minnesota ended with the hanging of 38 Sioux men. This mass killing was brought by President Lincoln only 2 days after he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This proclamation stated that all people that were held as slaves were able to be free. This, of course, took the pain away for a lot, but also put it on the innocent Sioux men. In 1871, the Indian Appropriation Act made all Indians wards of the federal government. In addition to this, the military issued orders forbidding Western Indians from leaving reservations. These people were not looked at as humans, they were looked at as objects. People who had families, lives, a place to call their home was just stripped away from them. Does it make one less of a human based on how they look? Does it make one less of a human based on where they live? And does it make one less of a human based on their lifestyle? Most people would answer these questions with no hesitation and say absolutely not. But these factors affected many. These are things people have no control over but still looked at to not have the freedom that they deserve. This goes with intersectionality because race affected the lives of many Native Americans. The last text that I would like to talk about is The House on Mango Street, written by Sandra Cisneros. This novel is about a 12-year-old Mexican-American girl. She goes through so much as a child that most 12-year-olds would not be able to begin to imagine. Esperanza moves to a house on Mango Street located in Chicago, and this house is far from her ideal home. Throughout her life, she faces discrimination based on her looks. She goes through sexual assault, held back from getting a good education, and having to lie about her age in order to get a job so she can support herself. I believe that this is one of the best texts to truly describe intersectionality. She was such a smart girl, but still held back by opportunities because of her race. An example in this book that I want to talk about involves intersectionality is on page 76, titled No Speak English. This chapter involves a woman that is kept in an apartment all the time. Some people say that she stays in this apartment because she's fat or because she's afraid to speak English. This just shows intersectionality because factors like her weight or her ability to speak English cause her to be judged by society. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book because it gave me a better understanding on that such a simple factor like race can completely change society's views on a person. Right when I read the topic, learning from our mistakes, lessons from history for today's citizens, I knew that was what I wanted to do our presentation on. Reading the Constitution of the Iroquois Nation, The House on Mango Street, and listening to the TED Talk by Aaron Hugh just showed me how many lessons that one can learn from our history. A lesson I took from the Constitution of the Iroquois Nation was that many people do not know where our rights and freedom originated and how the rules and laws we have today was not just made by the United States. A lesson I took from the TED Talk by Aaron Hugh was that I need to be more informed on how much people lost in order for us to have the privileges we do today. A lesson I learned from the House on Mango Street was that no one deserves to be discriminated or thought less of based on how they look, where they originated from, their social class, or their income. Finally, a lesson I want everyone to have is that no matter how much we truly think we know about our history, there's always more to learn. What I challenge everyone to do is simply help our community as a whole and learn more about our history. Discrimination has not stopped. We just learned about the beginning. And thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys continue to stay safe.